There is no commonality between a mentor and a friend. Those two things are entirely separate and they have nothing to do with each other. So everything in business is two things when you're building a business: context and contrast. And until you have wisdom and experience, it's very difficult to have context and contrast. A mentor is somebody that you're specifically learning and developing from. That has nothing to do with being a friend with somebody. So when you're friends with people, you're co-contributing to each other, personally, professionally, financially. When you're mentoring from somebody, you are specifically learning and developing in areas of opportunities for you to succeed. You don't need to know your mentors. You don't need to like your mentors. Your mentors don't need to know you. They don't need to like you. They don't need to know anything about you. A mentor is someone that you learn and develop from because you're inspired by something that they can help you with. And if you really learn your mentor's information and bring it to life, you probably will meet your mentor at some time who will want to be your friend because you exemplify what they're teaching if you handle yourself properly. But there needs to be clear understanding. There is no commonality between a mentor and a friend. Those two things are entirely separate and they have nothing to do with each other, unless you're able to develop a rich enough relationship with a mentor that then they become a friend. And this is what I've spent a majority of my life doing, and I talk about it in my book. Almost every single mentor that I had, I didn't know because I was reading their books or I was somehow otherwise found them. But all those mentors became dear friends, some of them family, and collaborators because of the contribution they made to me always telling the world, I learned this from them. A lot of people aren't willing because of the egotistical aspect of the human nature. When they learn something new and they're quoting it, oh, I'm an expert in leadership and this and that. They don't talk about where they learned it from. So if I'm somebody that's teaching something and someone's using my words and I know that I've talked to that person or they've read my book and they're not quoting me, then when I do meet them, I have less than the appetite to actually get to know them because I feel like they're not giving back to what I did. So when I was 26, I went the traditional route. I went out and made hundreds of presentations, got my first million, then raised 6 million, then raised 28 million with Warburg Pincus at 29 years old, rang the opening bell of the American Stock Exchange. As a high school graduate, voted least likely to succeed. All those were things that I was told would never happen, and I was able to make them happen. The problem was buying 130 businesses and shoving them together to try to create a platform company. And for those that are listening, they're like, what's a platform company? A platform company is what Wall Street talks about that has 10 specific elements. It's an organization that has a strategy, it has proper promotion and marketing, it has proper sales conversions, it has proper people alignment mechanisms, it has proper operational protocols, it has proper leadership, it has proper data that it knows what it's looking at and what it's doing, it has proper technology and systemization, and it has proper investment thesis that fits the strategy. And in order to afford all that and to be successful, making 20-30% of profitability per year, you're going to have to be between $100 and $150 million of revenue, or you can't afford all that and the expertise associated with it. So a platform company is a company that has all those resources, all those assets, all that leadership, all pulling the business in one direction towards a stated objective to execute and drive value. Okay, that's what a platform company is. A platform company isn't a 10 million or a 20 million or a $30 million business because you're not big enough yet to have all those things. So understanding what a platform company is, and I understood what it was because my mentors told me, so I was on a race to build a platform, okay? And I had to do it by buying hundreds of little tiny $500,000, $1 and a half dollar businesses and trying to shove them all together and create all the leadership team and create all the systems and create all operating protocols at 29 years old with no formal education. So if there was a recipe for disaster, I was it. But because I was able to survive and push through, I had this false sense of I can overcome everything. And that caught up to me. Actually, the business started doing unbelievably well. We were going to be the largest in the world. People were throwing money at me. But my investors of 5 years, Warburg, the professional investors, were like watching me thinking any minute this guy could drown, right? Any minute he can make a technical mistake. Because although I was in survival mode, feeling like I conquered, they were in, oh my God, this guy's in panic mode all the time. So when there was an opportunity for them to exit, take all their money, plus 100% of their money, plus, leaving me and my investors with nothing, they took it. At the time, I was bitter and upset about it. But in reflection, if I was them in today's state, I would do the same thing because I was just very fortunate that I survived. I was missing the strategic and leadership and investment thesis side. And I just looked like a reckless doer when I go back and look at myself at that point in time, right? So everything in business is two things when you're building a business: context and contrast. And until you have wisdom and experience, it's very difficult to have context and contrast. But I would never trade all those experiences because they were unbelievable. And the one thing it did say to me is I can overcome whatever's in front of me. And so what I wanted to do in my next iteration of business is retool how businesses are built. And that set me on the course I'm on today.